Africa's role was in this new world order. I saw that the elitists, the globalists, were blinded with the entire deal in South Africa, but it was not on their part that they were blinded, it was from God.
God blinded them for his grand plans.
I saw that while the world focused on the white and black issues, they forgot or were totally blinded by the black tribal issues. I saw behind the scenes, the secret agreements between ANC members from various tribes. I saw there was an unspoken agreement that the Xhosa would rule South Africa first, then a Zulu, and it would go from there. When a Zulu did not come to power after Mandela, I saw the Zulu thought they were betrayed. I saw that the Xhosa understood it differently. They knew the first government was a power-sharing deal between the National Party and not a fully run Xhosa government. The Zulu did not see it like this. This is why Mbeki was taken out, overthrown, and from here is where the problems began. The secret, unspoken or known agreements about who would rule in which order by the blacks was not understood by the West.
They were blinded. They were blinded by God himself for his purposes for the future of the folk.
After this vision, I thought I was crazy. I was alone when I had the vision.
For months I prayed and asked for a sign. Then in February 2016 I was shown dozens of fast visions and told what to write.
The problem was I did not know what to write, and at this stage one did not want to write. In fact, I point blankly refused to write. I turned my back once more. I did not want to read, nor listen to the Bible, nor pray. I refused. I thought, this is too spooky and I wanted no part of this. I know, the butt of jokes. So I ignored it. I ignored what was told and said to me, and then through the Almighty, wonderful he is, how he has his plans and you can either ignore them.
Turn your back on him, but somehow you will be forced, whether you like it or not, back to do what you were meant to do.
Through a series of strange events, occurrences, deaths, I called out on my knees while ill to put this entire thing to bed again in the 2019. When I had the dream vision that night, and that is the first video on the original channel on YouTube. I bring this up to discuss a vision that I had back then, and I will touch on other world events in this series. When I had the vision in my kitchen in 2015, I heard the words and saw it play out. The new world order will end in South Africa.
At that time I did not understand it, nor did I fully grasp it.
I also thought, it's all well and good to say that because you are a South African. It's very easy to say it will end here, being from the country. It is now 7 years later, and I was shown the vision, how it all collapses and how it connects to a number of dreams, including South Africa's role in it. I was about to pray early this week on the Monday. In fact, it was between going on my knees and entering prayer that the vision came to me. Before I even began to pray, it hit me. Before I was on the floor praying, the vision played out while my eyes were open, and as I closed them it continued to play out.
It is the missing piece of the puzzle for me. I believe it also ties in with the seer's words, world events, Russia, and I will come full circle with it.
While praying, I was shown an image, a film played out.
All within a second, perhaps a split of a split second.
In front of me, I see Northern Europe.
I see the acceptance of all these migrants in Europe, especially in Scandinavia. I saw how South Africa was used to convince these nations to open up their borders. It was the greatest military trickery ever since the Trojan horse of ancient Greece and Sparta, those ancient days. To break up and control those countries, they needed them to accept multiculturalism in order to make sure they were on board with the new world order.
The migrants would in the future be used against them should they ever decide to turn their backs on the new world order. Just as they had done in South Africa. Starting off by creating South Africa's very own Kosovo in Johannesburg. After the Boer War, when the farmers could not work their lands due to the scorched earth policy and the salting of their fields, the mine bosses refused to let them work the mines.
So they imported cheap black labor from the homelands, and in one instance, they created a Kosovo crisis in Johannesburg where the Boers would never own or fully control the Transvaal again, simply due to demographics.
This policy is what is playing out in Europe and even in America, throughout the Western world. It is implemented so that these nations can never be free peoples and they will play one group off of the other each time they want to exert control of the other. I saw how South Africa led to Obama, how Obama led to the destruction of Libya, how the migrants all flowed into Europe, and it has its roots in South Africa. Without Mandela, without the Rainbow Nation, they would never have convinced America to accept Obama. Obama was the front for their plans of what was planned for these European countries. Mandela was not so much for South Africa but for America and to get Europe to embrace their future multicultural agendas. Now remember what I am saying here, I saw in a split second. It was a split second that this took place, between moving to pray on my knees and putting my hands together, that this played out before my eyes. I saw that just as South Africa begins to fall apart, and as it's falling apart, that the world, the West, begins to vomit up multiculturalism, and when these Scandinavian countries see this, they reject it, but it's too late. It goes bad for them as it unravels in South Africa. Then I am shown a vision of Daniel, iron mixing with clay, and I see the entire thing fall apart. This may sound crazy, but how mighty is our God that his prophet Daniel had seen a vision of the future, and that the cracking, the breaking up of this iron mixing with clay would be through his bride beyond the rivers of Cush. The covenant is an everlasting covenant, and through the Almighty using the nation for his purposes he blinded the world, and as Daniel had seen, the iron will not mix with clay when the cracks appear. It will be due to South Africa and their miscalculations they made in South Africa, and it was all by God's hand. This is the meaning of the dream vision shown to me in 2015, an entire 7 years later. The words, "The New World Order comes undone in South Africa." As it unravels in South Africa, it unravels in Europe and things in Scandinavia. A panic comes over them and multiculturalism is vomited up. It's rejected, but it's too late, because at this stage the Trojan horse has been inserted into their countries, and I see it is not long after this that Russia makes its move on these countries. When they see South Africa coming undone, it's as if they suddenly wake up to the Trojan horse and the deception, and that they took the bait, but it is too late.
They see the folly of their ways, and as this happens, I see Russia knocking at their door.
It was as if as they woke up, like being shocked, or like having a spider suddenly run up your leg, they were hit by Russia shortly afterwards. Like when one falls asleep behind a car wheel and in a split second sees a truck or some vehicle in front of them, and in that split second they realize what is going to happen next, but it's too late.
No matter what reaction they have, they cannot stop the inevitable.
And as I saw this all taking place, I saw the statue Daniel in the Bible saw, the cracks in it, and then it topples.
It comes undone. It comes undone as the vision was shown and spoken of before on the channel.
The New World Order, the iron mixing with clay, starts to come undone in South Africa.
God used South Africa to blind the nations. The nations, presidents, politicians in the West were blinded by God for his future plans.
Then I thought of the migrants I saw trying to carve out territory in Scandinavia, like I saw during this chaos. In a previous dream vision put on the channel, and I saw the demographics had shifted so much in Scandinavia,
Northern Europe, that they reached the point of no return. Mandela, to Obama, was all for those nations to swallow the lie to destroy them. They embraced it to be part of the New World Order, but they swallowed the poison, and now it's too
late. By the time they try to solve the issue, it's too late, because now Russia is at the door.
And so I wanted to start there by going back in time, and then we can discuss world events.
About a week back, I was terribly annoyed, angry. In fact, I could have thrown my computer out the window, I was so annoyed. We had that Secretary of State Antony Blinken in South Africa groveling to the ANC about their position on Russia.
Never once, with all the Americans' talk of democracy, liberty or freedom, did they ever once discuss the 116 race-based laws in South Africa.
Bunch of hypocrites. They had a lot to say about 7 race-based laws, but now dare not say anything about the 116 race-based laws.
I want to give you an analogy. Imagine you are in bed. In your half-asleep state you begin to smell a fire. You sit up in bed, you see the smoke coming through the door. You see the glow of fire, you rush outside your room to put it out but you can't.
You try your best, you eventually escape out the window only to stand outside in shock as you watch the flames begin to slowly devour your house. Some stranger out of nowhere appears on the street, he shakes his head. He says, no one is coming to help you.
You sit there watching the fire for 5 minutes. The 5 minutes seems like an eternity in your shocked state.
Then this stranger walks up to you and whispers in your ear, you know there is a solution, but there is always a but. If you do this or that, I can solve the situation. Now watch carefully, do not fall for the grooming tactics and tricks. Remember the seer said they would try groom us, try intern us to fight alongside them. Your freedom and salvation shall not come from another nation. The Almighty sent the message, your century of bondage is over, it ended on the date as I gave you the message. It ended, now the chains come undone.
If they come to you whispering in your ear that no one is coming to assist you, it's just a grooming tactic.
They need you more than you need them. It also tells you that this stranger who showed up, showing concern, if you look carefully at his shoes, you will notice that you saw the same footprint in your house. He set your house on fire to get you to do what he wants next. They will come to you, they will whisper in your ear that no one is coming to assist, then weeks later, a month later they will suddenly pop up and provide a solution to the problem they created and orchestrated.
Please do not fall for the grooming. If they were our friends they would not have brought the government into power.
They can sit there telling their audiences how the ANC government destroyed the country, but how did the ANC get into power?
Should I really have to remind you people?
Should I have to point out the obvious? It was the globalists in the West with Ronald Reagan, the fantastic actor turned president, who told the world South Africa posed a threat to the world.
If you doubt it, go search online. You can read up on all the State Department's websites what they said.
What they continue to say, and they did this with their propaganda news pieces. It's not the ANC who did this, it is the globalist forces operating in the background. I am not accusing them, they take credit for doing this in South Africa.
They take credit all the time by telling us apartheid was evil, despite the fact that Dr. Verwoerd proved in the Hague Parliament in a 6,000-page document that there were not human rights abuses. Apartheid was a moral issue, and the West has no right to lecture us nor the United Nations on morals.
He proved his case in court when Libya, Liberia and other nations brought this to the United Nations. For every one article they published and pushed in their mainstream media about atrocities happening in Vietnam, Africa and other Arab countries, there were on average 70 stories written about South Africa. They turned us into the skunks of the world with their lies. Now 30 years later they want to slither on their bellies telling us the ANC destroyed South Africa, and tell me how did they get to rule South Africa? Through the West and their lies. Now all of a sudden we are supposed to trust the same people who threw us under the bus.
Would you trust your friend or family member who pushed you in front of a moving vehicle and then blames the driver of that vehicle? No, you pushed South Africa into this direction and situation, and now you claim no one is coming to save and assist us. You were incorrect. Mighty as you think you are, your days and fate are sealed. As Russia entered Ukraine, as Russia shall turn Ukraine red, so shall it be that as you brought down nations and rained down bombs on them, so shall it be done to you.
With all your technology, with all your money, with all your might, you cannot escape the same fate as which you sentenced other nations. With your lying lips, so one lie will unravel one by one, your lies will be the undoing of your nation. Only a very small insignificant portion of you will be left as a reminder to nations that get drunk on power, who talk with a forked tongue. You say one thing but do another, you preach justice yet turn a blind eye to injustice. If you want to be used in a meat grind, take their hand, let them this time put you through a meat grinder, if you think you had it bad in the past. This time they will put you through a meat grinder. If they come slithering on their bellies, trying to build rapport using sport,